President, I thank Mr. Volodymyr Yelchenko and other briefers for their inputs. We welcome new Under-Secretary General and wish him the best in his highly responsible work. Latest decades were marked by the spread of violent extremist ideologies and the emergence of terrorist groups fueled by them. ISIL, Al-Qaeda, Taliban, Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, and others rose from a regional menace to a global threat to international peace and security. Over the past years, Ukraine has also acquired bitter experience of countering terrorist threat that has been fueled by external support for terrorist groups and organizations in the east of my country. The fight against terrorism has now firmly become a key priority of the United Nations, leading to the adoption of 1373 and subsequent Fundamental Security Council resolutions, as well as 2006 UN Global Counterterrorism Strategy. This also resulted in the establishment of key UN Security Council and UN General Assembly bodies, like the Counterterrorism Committee and its Executive Directorate, as well as Counterterrorism Implementation Task Force. Though initially they had different mandates, later developments of the UN counterterrorism norms led to an overlap in these organs' activities, as well as a competition for resources, influence, and project ownership. Therefore, ensuring mutually reinforcing cooperation and avoiding duplication of efforts of UN bodies that work on counterterrorism-related issues remains an ongoing challenge for the UN. Mr. President, Ukraine consistently supported the need to enhance coherence and leadership of the UN system in dealing with terrorism threats, including by conducting a reform of the UN counterterrorism architecture. The creation of the UN Office of Counterterrorism is therefore a welcome step. We expect that it will mainstream counterterrorism efforts within the UN system and contribute to the proper implementation of the UN Global Counterterrorism Strategy, as well as the Secretary General's plan of action to prevent violent extremism. In particular, to ensure that the United Nations stance on countering terrorism remains strong, we expect the new office to deliver the following. 1. Show strategic leadership and commitment to action, addressing the conditions conducive to the spread of terrorism on a basis of all of UN approach. 2. Ensure appropriate resources and expertise to provide policy advice on counter-terrorism and prevention of violent extremism. 3. Strengthen its strategic policy and program guidance to member states in close cooperation with relevant international, regional, and sub-regional organizations and fora. And 4. Enhance collaboration among all UN entities operating in the field, as well to conduct outreach to civil society. Mr. President, we recognize the central role of the Counterterrorism Committee in overseeing implementation of specific counter-terrorism measures established by the Security Council, in monitoring states' compliance with respective obligations and promoting international cooperation in this field. We would like to commend the work of the CTED that conducts country visits on behalf of the committee to assess the implementation of Resolutions 1373, 1624, and 2178, detects possible gaps in the existing regulations using a detailed survey tool, identifies states' assistance needs, and facilitates the delivery of respective aid by engaging in a dialogue with prospective multilateral and bilateral donors. In particular, we take positive note of the recent update of the technical guide to assist countries in their implementation efforts. This work is vital for fostering the development of national legislations and practices in criminal justice matters and international cooperation, financial intelligence, border security, and law enforcement. We have a very good experience of cooperation with the Executive Directorate, which visited Ukraine back in 2013. Using this opportunity, I would like to underline that we expect the CTED to conduct a follow-up mission to Ukraine this November, based on the CTC-approved plan of visits for the period 2014-2017. On our side, we are keen to provide any necessary assistance in its preparation. Let me also touch upon an issue of the upcoming revision of the CTED's mandate. We are pleased that the CTED program of work duly reflects all new topics identified by the Council in its recent resolutions. The aviation security that we discussed just yesterday, international judicial cooperation, protection of critical infrastructure and cultural property, countering terrorist narratives, curbing weapons supply to terrorists, all of them are of particular importance to our common efforts. New challenges may also arise that will require this Council's close attention. However, given the drastic expansion of the CTAD's mandate, there is a need to ensure that its planned activities are performed timely and that the Member States can fully benefit from its expertise. Thus, the CTAD should be provided with adequate capacity and resources. In this regard, Ukraine is ready to provide its own contribution to the improvement of functioning of CTAD, in particular through nomination of qualified experts for professional posts of the enlarged entity. My delegation stands ready to engage constructively in the process of the renewal of the Directorate's mandate at the end of this year. I thank you, Mr. President.